I rise to speak, and I thank my colleague, the lead Democrat on the Senate Finance Committee, Ron Wyden, for his passionate advocacy, and I join him in this effort to get colleagues in the Senate to vote for the resolution that will be pending before us to eliminate Donald Trump's global tariff regime announced in April. This is a regime that, together with the other tariffs that he has announced, is leading to serious harm in Virginia, as I've laid out the last few days: higher prices, fewer jobs, and slower growth. The IEEPA statute, as I've laid out, allows a president to declare an emergency when there is an extraordinary and unusual event posing a serious threat to American national security, foreign policy, or the economy. What was that extraordinary and unusual event that Donald Trump used as the justification for this unilateral tax increase affecting consumers and businesses? The threat that he declared was the existence of trade deficits with many nations around the world. Let me dig into the nonsensical nature of the president's declaration and the use of trade deficits in the way he has calculated them. First, the president and his team imposed tariffs based upon trade deficits in goods. We don't live in the 19th century anymore. We have an economy that is not just about goods, it's about goods and services. And if you look at the actual trade figures, including both goods and services, the U.S. looks better positioned in virtually every country when you add in services. Why doesn't the president be honest with the American public about the extent of these trade deficits if they are, in fact, such an emergency? The president has used these tariffs to impose tariffs on nations where we have trade surpluses, like Brazil. He's imposing tariffs on nations that have no trade barriers to the United States, like Israel and Singapore. And he's measuring trade deficits the wrong way by only including goods, not services. Second, the president has calculated these trade deficits on goods without calculating the effect of the population of the countries involved. So let me give you an example. The president says if we have a trade deficit with Vietnam, they're ripping us off because they're not buying as much American stuff as we're buying Vietnamese stuff. That's what the trade deficit in goods basically is. We're buying more of their stuff than they're buying of our stuff. But hold on a second. Vietnam is a third the size of the United States. Vietnam is a country with per capita income much lower than American per capita income. They don't have the purchasing power that the United States does. So why is it a problem that they aren't purchasing as much American goods as we are purchasing Vietnamese goods? They're a smaller country. The same with Canada, the same with Japan, the same with so many nations around the world. They're dramatically smaller than us, and so naturally they don't have the purchasing power that the American consumer has. Finally, and I'll conclude with a word about the House after this, the way that the president has imposed the tariffs is leading to nothing but chaos. Announce tariffs on everyone, then announce that they may be suspended or delayed while I work out one-on-one deals with different nations, and I may give an exception to this country or that industry sector or that company. If you come and plead and make nice with me, I'll give you an exception. This has led to a chaotic circumstance. When the president announced the tariff rate with Korea, Toyota's stock, get this, okay, there's going to be a tariff on Korean imports. Toyota's stock went up. Why did it go up? Because the rate that he announced was less than the tariff that's being applied to automobiles coming in from Mexico and Canada, which has a lot of the content of American automobiles. It's a strange thing when you're cutting deals with other nations that disadvantage American production. That's what this chaotic tariff regime has done. And that's why my businesses around Virginia are telling me we want to make investments, we want to grow, but we can't grow until we know what the rules are. And every new announcement of a tariff or a delay or a suspension or an exception or a new deal for some other country that makes our products competitively disadvantaged slows down investment in Virginia. The last thing I'll say is this. I hope this passes as the two previous resolutions did. And if it does, it will be up to the House to take this up. The House has done something that should really shock people in the public and in this body. This matter is privileged in the House as it is in the Senate. If it passes, House statutes and rules suggest that it should be taken up for a vote on the floor of the House. The rule in the House was that it would need to be within the committee for 15 days and then be reported, and then pending for 3 days on the floor. Action would be taken on these matters within 18 days in the House. Guess what? The House is so afraid to vote on tariffs. They are so afraid of the effects these tariffs are having on their constituents, but equally afraid of crossing Donald Trump, that they passed a rule that said for purposes of this and this only, the day today extends through the remainder of Congress. So the 15 days plus 3 days, it ripens in 18 days. Action must be taken in 18 days. They have defined today as a day that lasts to the end of Congress, so the matter will never ripen and be privileged in the House. If they're that afraid of a vote on tariffs that they would result to that kind of legislative chicanery, that should tell us something. They need to do a discharge petition in the House, put this matter on the floor, and put every House member on record, as senators will go on record, as to whether they're for higher prices or lower prices. And with that, I yield the floor, Mr. President.